Hello, this is Wanker Reviews, and today I'll be doing a video on Creepshow, the new TV series on Shudder. In this first episode, there are two different stories. The first one is called Gray Matter, based on Stephen King's short story called Gray Matter that was released in 1973, about a boy who has to take care of his father who is mentally and physically deteriorating after his wife's death. In this adaptation, the little boy has to deal with his alcoholic father and then seek shelter at a store. In the town that he lives in, all the residents have moved away because of a massive storm that has taken over. I never read the short story, so my opinion is solely based on this episode. I thought it didn't make much sense. I won't give any spoilers away, but it never explained why the father was the way he was. Like, we know that his wife died and he's grieving, but we don't know why all of these things were happening to him afterwards that were making him act this way. And I think a little explanation would have helped the story. As for any complaints, that's really the only major complaint I have. I thought everything else was very well crafted. I thought the build-up and the suspense and the acting was phenomenal. This is one of those things where it could have easily been super cheesy and super over the top, but because the acting is so amazing, when the characters are fearing for their lives, you actually believe them, and that in turn makes you fear for them as well. And it really brings the scare factor to a whole new level. And it really shows that good acting can really make a difference in a story. So yeah, I really did enjoy this. So now we're going to move on to story number 2, called House of the Head, about a little girl whose parents buy her a brand new dollhouse and put it in her room. Later on, she realizes that her dolls are moving by themselves in different places inside of the dollhouse. Now, I actually really loved this story a lot more than the first story. I thought it was very spooky, even though it was very minimal. This one actually depends on you using your imagination, and I think that's why it's so freaking creepy, because it doesn't show too much. Now, there are visuals, but at the same time, you're really just using your imagination. I really love it when horror movies or horror TV shows don't spell everything out for you and they leave you wondering and they leave you very uncomfortable. And I can't really go into detail about why I love this story so much because it is a spoiler, and it is one of those things where you should go in knowing little to nothing that's going on. And as much as I did love this story, actually there are two things that I did dislike about it, and it was the little girl. It wasn't the little girl herself, but it was how she was reacting. If you're a little kid and you're witnessing something very strange, I can't imagine a kid not going to their parents and telling them that something very wrong is happening inside of her room. And instead, she keeps the secret to herself and she never seeks any kind of help outside. She tries to solve things on her own, and I thought that was not very realistic to how a little kid would act. Although it was nice that they did show the little girl having genuine fear. Despite trying to solve something, she did show genuine fear. Another small issue that I had was that this movie has such great build-up and such tension throughout, and then it just ends suddenly. It's almost like the writers couldn't really figure out which way they wanted to end the story. And there are pros and cons to this. On the pro side, I don't think a story like this would really benefit from being a full-length movie. I don't think it would be able to carry the momentum in a 90-minute movie. I think it's a short and sweet. It leaves you tensed up and wondering what the F is going to happen next because it's so short and sweet. But on the con side, I mean, it starts off very strong and it even ends. It has a good ending, but the ending at the same time is kind of weak, and it just ends. Really, that's it? You spent all this time building up all this tension and then you just end it out of nowhere. Although thinking back at the episode, it does make sense for the story to end the way it did, because what else was the little girl supposed to do? And I don't know, it was short and sweet, and it was very strong from beginning to end, but at the same time it left me wanting more. So I think that's why I was frustrated. Overall, I really did enjoy this first episode. I was very worried that I wouldn't like it based off the trailer that I saw. It looked really cheesy. But yeah, I give this episode an 8 out of 10. I really enjoyed it and I do recommend it, and I can't wait for the rest of the episodes.